我们在开场的时候呢，先想问一下大家，对我们上一期还有印象吗？你们对上一期最难忘的一些这个场景啊，或者最意犹未尽的是什么呢？
Welcome, and for those of you joining us overseas, like our usual live streams, it will be conducted in both Mandarin and English. And yeah, please let us know if you've been here with us last time around. What was the most interesting part about their story? What more would you like to hear about today? Feel free to engage and drop basically anything specifically in the chat. And I would love to hear from you.
我非常喜欢您的提问哦。那大家好，我是这期慢奏的创始人之一，我叫 Annie。那这位是伊萨。那我们这期慢奏呢，是一个在海外专门宣传中国传统手艺和文化，然后将中国传统手艺和文化带上世界的舞台的一个组织。那我们呢，终极的目标是想让传统的手艺活起来，让人们的生活慢下来。
Welcome again. Thanks to everybody, for taking the time to join us this evening. Please let us know, where you're tuning in from. My name is Lisa, and together with Annie and Claire, we are the co-founders behind Slow Making. We're really, really passionate about, what we're doing, really focused on, sharing authentic stories of traditional artisans, preserving heritage, and hoping this could be that avenue through this kind of lens of arts and crafts to be able to bridge the various cultural gaps.
那我们上一期呢，也主要介绍了宁航蜡染背后的故事，也认识了我们宁航蜡染的创始人宁妈妈，以及灵魂设计师人物陈浩老师。与此同时呢，我们也认识了3位画娘老师：杨二郎老师、杨昌郎老师，还有我们现场在座的这一位杨乃金老师。那这一次的直播呢，我们就会由杨乃金老师深度的去介绍蜡染制作全过程，然后深度的去揭秘一幅精美的蜡染作品从0到1制作的全部工艺技巧。那如果您好奇的话呢，一定要关注到最后哦。
Thanks again, for tuning in. Maybe just a quick flashback to the first, as this is the second of the series, specifically focused on Indigo Batik. For those of you who have heard of batik, you're familiar with it is a type of, wax resist dyeing. China is not the only country. It is very prominent across, various cultures around the world, specifically within China, though. And, right now we're based out of Danzhai, China, specifically with the Miao community. A lot of the young women, they start learning this at a very young age, 8 or 9. And, last time with the first of the series, we shared a little bit about the brand philosophy behind Ninghang Batik and got to know the founders as well as, their prestige designer. And this time around, we're hoping to do a little bit more of a deeper dive, right? Learning a little bit more about Indigo Batik within China. And Yang Naijing, she's one of the very talented artisans that we had the opportunity to meet very briefly last time. And so hoping this time we'll have a much better chance to see her work and chat in real time.
那这一次的直播呢，全程会由我们宁航蜡染的负责人婉婉和我们的工艺美术大师杨乃金老师为大家深度介绍我们蜡染制作的全过程。那我们把接下来的这一个主题镜头就交给我们的老师了。
Besides the artisan Yang Naijing, as we were just introducing, Wan Wan, who's actually behind the camera, but she's been instrumental in helping us to organize the series, essentially giving us this behind the scenes view into their specific brand and have an opportunity to really chat with the artisans themselves. And so really excited to have them and very excited for the second of the series.
老师，请您跟我们自我介绍一下吧。
好，大家好， 我叫杨乃金，我在宁航蜡染，画蜡染就14年时间了，客人你们就喜欢就到这里来看我们现场画。
Clearly no introductions needed. She's like, we're gonna jump right in. And as you can see, she's been very busily drawing in the background already. This is a whole new piece that she's creating. She's actually doing a picture of the golden pheasant, which is very prominent and found in Asia. And yeah, I'm sure, we'll have a lot more chance to talk through it.
那老师，您这个画的这一个是一个锦鸡的主题，它背后有什么寓意吗？因为我们之前发现，在贵州宁杭蜡染区域，就是这一个丹寨区域，有很多都是以锦鸡为主题的。
And he was just asking, if she could share a little bit behind, what's the meaning of this specific motif and pattern. 老师您请。
Hello， 我是婉婉。
婉婉你来也行啊。
婉婉你好。
我们老师来边画，然后我来边给大家介绍一下。
Sure. Yeah. So Vanvan will actually be, explaining a little bit behind the processes, the steps involved, while the, artisan, she can better focus on the work itself.
来，先让大家近距离的看一下老师画的这个锦鸡。
Yeah, so we're seeing a close-up view of the golden pheasant that we were mentioning.
老师，你
看我们画笔不用圆规，画线不要尺子，画任何的图案没打底稿，都是凭手画。
老师，您跟大家看一下，您用的是什么样的工具画？然后这个沾的这个酱到底是这个看着黄黄的这个液体到底是什么东西？
这个是蜡，叫做蜡刀，是铜片，4块铜片加起来中间留个缝。我一边旁边这个是密封的蜂蜡，就插电融化变成蜡水，就拿来画。
Okay. As she was just showing us in detail, the specific kind of paint knife that she's using is actually composed of 4 pieces of, copper plates. And they're kind of all, bound together with a very, tiny slit at the very bottom. And this is what she's using to grab the melted beeswax from the little pot that you saw it in the background. And then this contains the wax, then she can kind of fluidly draw on the fabric itself. And what's also important to, point out is the fact that, they have no specific drawing that they're starting with. A lot of the patterns comes from memory and from many, many years of practice. And so she's going for it.
我画这个是有蜡的地方就染不上色，没有蜡的地方它就变成蓝色，有蜡的地方它就变成白色。是我们要自己种板蓝根，要天然染料来染。
Yes. This is something, for those of you who have been following us on slow making, you would know, very organic processes. And as she was just explaining, a lot of this is organic beeswax, and that's what she's using to draw the patterns. And this is how to protect that specific area of the fabric. And so when they do dip it in the indigo dye or any sorts of other dye, that specific area gets protected. And that's the white lines. Sorry about that. That's the white lines that you'll be able to see, and the blue areas that's kind of left blank will be painted or dyed blue.
这一只鸟就有故事，这一只鸟就很久以前，这只鸟呢就我们这边有一场洪水。很大的洪水把我们的种子啊、粮食啊全部黑过去了。这只鸟呢，就是很厉害的一只鸟，跑到洪水里面抢我们的种子回来，我们才有水稻，我们才有生活，我们才有今天。所以我们就很喜欢画它。就我们苗家没有文字，就画这只鸟呢，就表达我们感谢它的那种。
oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, she was just explaining the reason and kind of I guess the mythical tale behind the golden pheasant is, there used to be a large flood and a lot of their harvest was essentially destroyed. But, this brave bird essentially dove right into the flood and rescued a lot of their seeds. And so this is their way of honoring and thanking the animal. But of course, a lot of this, is very common within Miao Batik, as, they often leverage their art to honor and thank their ancestors, their nature, flowers and plants. And so they draw a lot of inspiration from their surroundings.
Wow.
And Annie has actually been to the studios. She's seen a lot of the other pieces of work. And so I guess this is a pretty
I've
prominent.
actually tried how to draw this.
How was
so
that?
hard. So hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to control the temperature in the liquid, the wax liquid. Yeah.
That's a really
因
good
为我
point.
们苗家没有文字，这些故事呢，就是我们老人教我们的口口相传。
Yeah, what is actually an important thing to point out. So with the Miao communities, very traditionally, they live in agrarian societies. Agriculture is essentially the main industry there. They don't have written language, and so through this art of creating, and later hoping we'll get to hear from them in person through their beautiful sing song. This is how a lot of their legacies and stories gets passed on.
哇，
因为蜡染没有老师教，这是我外婆教我妈妈，我妈妈教我，我就教我娘，就等于是外婆教妈妈，妈妈教娘，娘教娘，一代教一代传承下来的。这个蜡染是子子辈辈老祖宗留下来的手艺，我们就必须要学我们老人的这些图案。
For a lot of these traditional crafts, it really depends on, generations and families in order to pass it on. For example, Yan Aijing, she herself, master herself, she has mentioned she learned from her grandma, frankly, and then from her mom, but she now is passing on to her daughter, even in this day and age. And so it is very, very important, for these crafts to be able to live on. And so much of the knowledge does come from our ancestors, and so it is really beautiful to see that these still thrive in different parts of China.
老师，我知道你们虽然苗族是没有文字，但是苗族的歌曲唱得特别好。上一次我们直播的时候呢，大家也对你们的这个歌声意犹未尽啊。是不是可以给我们来一首？
Annie was prompting the song that I just mentioned, also a very, very important element within Miao culture. So hoping we could get a little bit of taste of that today.
我想那个大爷，我跟这有些我说跟提啊。
老师，你能边画边唱的吗？
老师，你这支锦鸡应该画的差不多了吗？还要画多久？哇！
那就我们就唱一首，你们在直播间都是唱歌都是美女。
苗族飞歌吗？
歌词是这样。
好。
接来飞歌歌。 cái ye se bia che mong yang cái phơ mong to nhà li le nhà la bay nhà yu tơ no no ô tai song a 别错别下，得个点有那风啊得有，好大一双步，杨三个扎。 的个的有那个的有，放好的的有，阿白昂就再有那个再有，谢谢。
哇塞，
太棒了，
老师唱的
真的是很震撼人心的那种感觉哦。
关键主要唱的整个过程那个手动的可快了，还一直的在那儿画那个锦鸡的I mean, beautiful song voice. But I think, what is also fascinating to see, this was a whole new piece of work, and you can see they're so, practice, and this just is second nature to them, right? They're able to like sing along, give us a really kind of taste for what the villages are like when you're kind of walking through. But also, she pretty much completed her piece of work there. So very, very impressive.
哇塞，老师，你这画的时候真的是可熟练了。
对，我是一个全才人，我没有高手的话就达不到那个领导。
我画的时候，我作为一个新手，我那个时候画的时候，我记得就是每次沾到了那个很热的融化的蜡的液体之后。再去画就很怕液体过多，然后不是液体过多，然后它就滴在布上了，就是滴在因为你控制不好，它就会滴。
对对对，
你就不可能有画这么顺畅的线条，你必须要快准狠，你画这么线条。
Yeah, Annie was just sharing, because she had the, great privilege to essentially try it out herself. One of the most difficult things was actually, preventing the dropping of the wax from the pot and then moving on to the fabric, and then especially in between each stroke, how not to, create a messy canvas. I myself actually have tried Indonesian batik. I think Bernarda might be on the call today, but she is from Indonesia herself, and very similarly, batik is very prominent, found throughout Indonesia. It is actually their intangible cultural asset as well, and it's a very different tool that's being used. I'm pretty sure it's called chanting, but or canting spelt like. But Bernarda, feel free to correct me in the chat and share a little bit more about your own culture as well.
老师，你当初学的时候，你觉得就是作为一个新手来说的话，最难的是什么呢？
开始我7岁，我跟我外婆在一起，我妈妈去干农活了，我自己跟我外婆画一点都不好。我外婆说是，你学会学，还有呢，这个蜡压到布了，就算你会画了。到13岁我就画自己的背面了。
老师，你的意思是说，就是画在那个背，就是如果觉得画不好，然后背面再来一次，是吗？
对，画不好，之前就没有布，我想要很多的布来学，我妈妈说浪费布。
以前布很珍贵，
肯定，其实像现在也是。Yeah, she was just basically Annie was asking, especially as a beginner, what were some of the challenges even that she has experienced while learning this craft? And she was mentioning, especially, back in the day, fabric is very valuable. As a beginner, she would often mess up the specific patterns as well. So to make the most use of it, she'll turn it around and then create another piece of work and, get more practice that way.
而且就算是同一个人画不同的这个主题，或者是同一个人画同一个主题，他每次的那个锦鸡都会有变化，都会有不一样，所以每一个图案都是有独一无二的。
True. Yeah, like, I mean, with a lot of this, right, everybody brings their own unique, tastes as well as inspirations, but even, created by the same artisan, right? One bird would differ from another piece, and so when you think about each piece that gets created, it is really unique and one of a kind. On that note, I was gonna ask about her clothing actually. 老师，我看您今天穿的也是超漂亮的，您自己穿的这个也是你自己画的，然后再染的吗？还是？
我缺这个衣服是我自己画、自己染、自己缝的。
哇，
还自己缝的，哇！
老师，那您这件衣服
就拿
是您可以给我们介绍一下吗？就是属于什么支系的传统服饰呢？它有什么历史和故事吗？
白领苗，我们是白领苗，领子的领，白色的白，就是白领苗。
As we were just, asking about her beautiful top that she's wearing, it is created by the exact process that you're seeing. She essentially painted, dyed, and sewed herself. Wow, look at that. It's such a gorgeous piece. And that took, like 5-10 minutes? Not
15 minutes. 15 minutes. But for me, like for newbies, it took me like at least 1 to 2 hours to finish it.
老师，那是什么？
我自己绣的，一整拿丝线来，一整自己绣。
Wow.
Oh my god.
What she's showing us. And so in addition to the painting talents, she apparently is an embroiderer. And so everything you're seeing here is embroidered by herself with silk threads. So, wow.
哇，现在我们画好了。
Yeah.
老师，那我们下一步干什么呢
？So
拿去泡水打。
So on to the next step. As we're pretty fast paced here. We're really kind of giving you a true taste of behind the scenes, but also their day to day. And as you can see, right, many dye vots that have been brewing here, and it is living cultures for those of you who are familiar with indigo. And so in Miao culture, indigo dye and indigo batik is very, very prominent. And this is basically the second step that we're going to be taking a quick look at. 老师您请。
第一道工序是画，第二道工序呢是泡水，第三道工序呢就拿去净是那个染水染色。
OK。
现在是第二道。
老师，这个泡水泡的是就凉水、热水，然后它的那个就是作用是什么呢？
让它染得更均匀。
为了要它均匀，它吐水全部吐水了，它才均匀。
然后是温度呢？温度是怎么样的？
这是要冷水。
冷水 ，OK. Yeah, so actually right before the dyeing, as you can see, she's currently immersing the fabric in a pool of cold water, and so then we can get much even
color.
Yeah, coloring.
And indigo. Dye.
现在泡好清水之后，我们就可以放到我们的染水里面进行染色了。
对，你们看
，OK，
就是就用那个染缸染了。
OK，
这个染缸有什么学问吗
？So right into the dye bath, and Annie just asked, what is the special composition of this dye bath?
这是植物染料，用的就是我们经常听说的一个板蓝根的染料，然后它的根我们就用来入药，然后它的茎和叶子我们就制作成了我们这个蓝靛泥的染料。
枝和叶子是吧？
茎和叶子。
茎和叶子。Oh, I see.
Wow, look at the color change.
Wow, it's immediate.
Yep.
So as Wawan was just explaining, so this is a pure natural indigo bath, and what they essentially used was the stems as well as the leaves in order to cultivate this bath. And as it reacts with air and oxygen, you can see it oxidize right away, and it turns from that kind of greenish hue right into blue.
Oh my god, it looks so pretty. I love the color change.
Yeah, and then there's a little bit of the washing.
老师，为什么又要用清水弄一下呢？
就是洗一下它就很亮，它还更。
I see. So as you can tell, there's a quick washing step right in between another dye.
空气的氧化，它慢慢的氧化，它就变成深色了。
I see. And then, the purpose of the washing. 老师，我先翻译一下哈。The purpose of the washing is to, just to ensure the blue pops even more. And so, again, now she's dipping it in for a deeper color.
A second dye.
哇，老师你们我看你们都是直接用手哈，因为我们有些时候我们在国外，有些时候我们会戴个手套啊什么的，你们的这个直接就是
Natural Indigo， 他们直接用手。
因为我们这个是纯天然，没有伤害的皮肤，我也很喜欢玩这个。
哦，
老师，我记得你们那个养缸特别有学问的，你之前还听过很多关于养缸的一些有趣的故事，可以给我们分享一下吗？这个 Indigo 缸很难得的。
哎，这很多的地方都有那个，不会保持那个天然染料了，我们还保持了很久以前我们老人怎么做出来，我们就还是按照我们的老人怎样做我们就怎样做。
As you can see, even though with a second dipping of dye, when it comes out, it is actually still kind of yellowish greenish, but then right away, once it oxidizes, it turns blue. But, you know, just a quick sharing of the indigo bath itself, as she was sharing, right? A lot of this is learned from our families, our ancestors, and they're still practicing in the exact same way. And we were just having a quick chat, you know, sometimes we're based in North America. When we do these specific indigo dye workshops, you know, we're wearing gloves, but as she was sharing, because it's all natural, right into with her own hands, and it's totally fine. And you can have a better feel for the fabric and dye as well.
因为其实这个染水我们也叫做蓝宝宝，为什么要叫它做蓝宝？因为它也像宝宝一样，我们要呵护它、爱护它，然后它晚上白天工作了之后呢，它晚上也是需要休息，也需要吃饭。那它吃的饭就是我们的蓝靛梨啊、米酒啊，以及我们的碱。
Oh, I see. Yeah, so they basically call these dye baths their babies.
Blue babies.
Yes, blue babies. Because again, right, you can see during the day they're busy at work as well. And so, you know, come nighttime, they would definitely need the time to rest. But then also they're fed, you know, various ingredients to further grow and cultivate. And so we can prolong the longevity of a lot of these dye baths.
像冬天的时候天气冷了，然后我们也需要给它穿衣服，就像我们会在这个缸的外面给它裹很厚的布，然后如果是在我们的染房里面，我们会把我们染房的温度调整成一个恒温的状态，就比较适合它。
我们还烧炭火给它烤。
哇，这么婉婉，那我快问一下，
温度要保持在多少呢？
对，
有那地方就染不上色，没有那地方就变成蓝色了。
啊，哇。
Yeah, as you can see, all of the kind of white parts that you're seeing is basically the outline that she was drawing with the wax. And so it essentially protects that piece of fabric from getting the dye. And also a quick mention, she was just mentioning, you know, again, these blue babies, they actually take quite a bit of work to take care of. And in the wintertime, they would actually wrap it with blankets to keep it warmer. Or if these dye baths are put indoors, then, you know, the temperature is a little bit more milder and can be better kept for the fabric itself.
Okay, we have audience from overseas ask questions too. So they're asking what are some other natural dyes used? And most people who do natural indigo dye or any natural dye just use their hands.
Good point.
And they're saying that how many years is the indigo? Why is it even kept outside?
Good questions. Great questions, actually. And it's a really good point about other people and other parts of the world using their hands. For example, Japan, very, very famous, and so does Indonesia, as far as I'm aware of. 老师，我们这边国外的朋友有几个问题哈，就是说我们除了就是说百兰根的这种，我们还用哪一些其他的自然染料？然后这一个百兰根的话，就是它是多少年的？就是我们用的这些材料是有多少年？
这个缸应该是养了多少年呢？
我们的缸就开始在这里建这个公司14年了，我们一直都养它。
14年。Yeah, 14 years old. This indigo pot.
Oh, wow. Yeah, basically they've been growing and cultivating this Vot for 14 years. 那老师刚才那个问题就是除了就说板蓝根这种在丹寨你们这边还会用其他的自然染料吗？
就是自然植物做的这种染料，染其他的颜色。
对。
很久以前我在小的时候，我妈妈去种棉花，还在种那个满兰。现在呢就满兰不种了，满兰叶子很小，就拿来打那蓝靛呢成分很低，打不了多少。现在满兰呢就不种了，只是种板蓝根。
I imagine
说的马兰它其实也是蓝草的一种。
哦，也是吗？就是它其实给的那种自然染料也是蓝色吗？
对
I see.
但是在蜡染里面。
婉婉刚才的最后的那一句我们没听到。
但是在蜡染里面的话，我们主要用的还是板蓝根的染料比较多，就是我们经常看到的蓝白色。为什么呢？因为它的工艺决定了它的色彩，而其他的植物染料像我们的苏木、栀子，它可以染出红色、黄色，但是它的染色是需要加热的，所以如果它加热，我们的蜡就会融化，起不到一个防染的作用。
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, so actually to the question earlier, 好漂亮啊，老师，
好漂亮，
越来越明显了。
我们要染多少次呢？大概
to the actually let me just quickly translate the yeah so to the question earlier at least within Danzhai, you know, they've tried using another type of plant, but it also gives blue colors, and the reason being, you know, some of the other leaves around this area can give, let's say, red or green or some of the other colors, but it needs to be heated, and so because we're using wax, once it's heated it comes off the fabric. And so that's why they're sticking with the blue indigo in these regions.
And the whole purpose is use the wax as the dye resistant. So if it comes off, the pattern wouldn't stay on the fabric.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how many times do we need to dye it? 老师，我们要染多少遍呢？这一次就是这个
10遍，
要10遍。
10遍。Oh. She was just saying, at least for this piece of fabric, we're going to dye it about 10 times. But, you know, for those of you who are familiar with indigo, basically the many more times you repeat it, the darker and the deeper the blue will be.
老师，为什么这个fabric 就这个面料放进这个染缸的时候，它会有黄色的这样的一个液体，这个颜色呢？
我们开始起那个染水的话，这个就是染水，开始起的话，它就变成黑色。我们加那个酒和加那个水，温水，还加食用碱，就加来地膏加在一起，就搞一缸水呢，就加码，我们就搅拌均匀，它就变黑黑了，没有起泡泡。我们等了3天。它就发酵好了，它就慢慢变成黄色。我们搅拌，它还有一种泡泡，那种呢可以染布才上色，而它变成黑黑的呢，就没有湿湿的那种呢，就染不上色。
所以就是加了其他的这些成分以后，它就不是那种黑黑的，然后反倒是有点像黄色的这种，我们能看到。
它等于是发酵好了嘛。
Oh, I see. Yeah, so, you know, the reason why it's yellow is actually, it just means it's an indication of a very healthy dye bath. And she was explaining previously, before adding, you know, various ingredients, I think they mentioned Miao, which is like kind of a rice wine, different water, is alkaline that they're also adding in. And, you know, with various components, they're essentially fermenting the dye vat. And so then, you know, gives different hues that we're seeing.
现在老师已经染完了，然后我们接下来进行第3步，就是说把我们的蜡除掉。
好的，谢谢婉婉。So on to the third step, a third major step, if you will. There's little steps in between, but we've now completed the dyeing procedure, and so now we're gonna go boil off the wax to reveal the pattern underneath.
哇哦，
老师好。
所以一般呢，我们的那个染缸是在室内，然后这一次是为了直播，所以才摆到室外，这样光线的话会更好。因为室内其实有个专门的染房，等会儿如果有时间的话，可以带大家去看一下那个染房，很大的染缸。
好的，好的。Yeah, so I mean, Annie, like we mentioned, she had the great privilege to travel and, get a tour of the studio space previously when she was in China. And she was mentioning, with actually, just because of the live stream, we've moved the dye baths outside today, but there's a separate room that we'll get a quick look a little bit later on.
大家也可以看一下，就是平时我们脱蜡是用这个比较大的锅来脱的。
Oh, I see. So this is actually the big kind of pot that holds the hot water that they often use to melt away the wax.
So you can tell you reuse the wax too. There's a layer of wax on top of the water.
Yeah, a very common practice in various cultures. And so in order to be, again, a lot of these indigo batik, it is very sustainable. And, when we talk about sustainable practices, reduce, reuse, very, very common. And so you can see the salvaged wax being used for future.
因为我们的蜡它的熔点是在60°C，然后现在我们是用一个沸水去把它溶解，然后它的蜡就能去除掉。
Oh, I see. Yeah, because again, it is a very tiny piece of fabric. That's where we're not doing it in the big pot over there. Vaman was just sharing the melting point for the wax is just around 60 Celsius. And so they're getting, some warmer water into the little pan here in order to melt away.
So pretty.
哎，那老师像现在的话，就是那个布上还有一些那个蜡吗？还是已经基本上都已经洗掉了？
因为它这个已经是开水。
干净了，现在已经干净了，
已经溶掉了。
Oh wow. As you can see, just a quick wash, the wax is completely melted away, and you can see the crisp white that's popping against the blue fabric here. 老师好漂亮，我们都觉得有点不现实。我们跟着你整个全流程，全都已经看出了一个作品。
哇哦！
你看，
哇哦！
我画的时候就摸起来就有一层蜡，现在呢就开水看那个蜡就我是一张的平布，是一张的平布，就是变成花了。
哇，好漂亮！
哇塞
！We were, just essentially praising her for her beautiful work, and it is very surreal to kind of watch it from beginning to finish. And she was mentioning, previously before she immersed it in the hot water, you could feel the hardened wax on the top of the fabric, but now it's completely smooth, and she's gonna hang it with the rest of the works. Wow, look at all of this.
Look at the rest of work. 好漂亮啊，这些画的。
Lots and lots of beautiful pieces, as you can see. And in fact, I wonder if some of them are actually scarves. Speaking of which, Annie and I, we are wearing these beautiful pieces handcrafted by these talented artisans. And so
all those scarves are from Ninghang
Batik. 围巾，现在正在染围巾。
现在正在染围巾
啊 ，yes，
对，这些都是宁航蜡染的围巾，都是这样一步一步手工制作出来的。那我们宁航蜡染真的花了很多的心思和时间去用纯手工、纯天然的方法去制作这样的日用艺术品吧。
对，
真的是把艺术融入到了生活。
For sure. I mean, it is really, a beautiful work so far that you could wear, right? And hoping instills more confidence in everybody who essentially are interested in the products. You can see the entire process from beginning to end. And and very natural fabrics that are used, natural dyes, and so it is safe. Actually, a good point on that with indigo dye, because these are all natural, we're not using specific fixers. There is a little bit of bleeding. That's very common and natural.
那如果大家对我们宁航蜡染的这样的一个工艺，传统工艺非常感兴趣的话，那我们宁航蜡染呢也有很多就是用这样的传统手工艺制作起来的这种文创产品，然后他们有一个非常精美的展厅，我们可以让婉婉带我们去看一看我们展厅里面的一些成品。那我们下一期呢也会为大家重点介绍我们这些文创设计品背后的故事，以及伦敦时装周中展示的一些精品。
You know, as we are nearing the end, you know, thank you so much for joining us. Wan right now is gonna go take us to, you know, the exhibition room, showcasing a lot more, you know, beautiful works that will go into detail, share a little bit more of the story behind it next session. So definitely hope you'll join us again. And as you can see, right, there's so many beautiful products, and what we're really trying to do at Slow Making is also to be that bridge, and for all of you to have an opportunity to own some of these beautiful pieces.
这些都是这么一步一步制作出来的。
还有这种
哇，这也是吗，老师？
对，这些也是一步一步画出来的。
哇塞，一个个方格画的那么正。
老师，您
这个我们就把棋盘格运用到我们的蜡染里面了，就它既有传统的元素，也有现代的元素。
Oh, that's beautiful. Waman was just sharing, you know, again, you know, for those of you who play chess, that could probably remind you of a chessboard or a Go board, wherever you're based. But it is really kind of that combination of different cultural elements.
我看到老师身后还有一个旗袍，哇，这个好好看。
好看。Ties basically the outfit beautifully together.
Look at those.
Oh, wow. And you can see these are the traditional dresses of China. These are the qipao, and they've essentially, you know, integrated Indigo Batik into their beautiful articles.
老师可以看看你们啊，您说。
这种是拿红布的话，它就变成红花。
哦，是本身布是红布啊。
对。
哇，好漂亮啊，这个。Look at this. I keep forgetting I have to translate. But you can see the beautiful dark indigo essentially against this red fabric. That was the kind of the base fabric that they use, and that's why you kind of get that effect. But incredible, beautiful.
总而言之呢，我们觉得时间过得特别快。那我们这一场直播呢，就马上要结束了。如果大家对我们这个展厅里面的产品和我们的这些精品，哇，真的太漂亮了，感兴趣的话呢，那请期待下一期我们的直播内容。我们下一期直播内容会深度的为大家介绍这些作品背后的故事，以及设计灵感，以及我们的设计故事。
So with that, you know, we are wrapping the live stream today. Really thank you to all of you. Also, of course, thanks to Yan Naijing, Master, as well as Wan Wan for hosting us. Hoping all of you will join us for the third session. Today is just a little bit of a teaser. So hoping to see you very soon.
谢谢杨老师，谢谢婉婉，非常感谢，真的让我们见识到了我们这一个蜡染精湛的手艺。哇，
你们这样太有胃口了吧！我的天
！Oh my god！
这是我们下期分享的一些，
这些还有好多新品，我就没看过。
Speaking of the teaser, we have a lot more coming. We're gonna dive deep into some of the meanings, some of the stories behind the motifs.
I love this red.
Some of these beautiful works of art. A lot of them are actually, you know, prized collectibles for people around the world. And so with that, you know, thanks to everybody, and we'll see you at the next session.
And if you want to listen to more stories, keep in tuned.
Yeah.
Bye, thank you. 好漂亮啊，老师，真的太漂亮了。
Yeah, hey, that's right.
Thank you.
I love you. you, love me.
We love you.
We love you too. Love you.
老师练过的啊，谢谢婉婉。
谢谢
哦，
谢谢婉婉，
谢
谢
谢老师。
不谢，那我们下期见喽。
好的，好的，下期见。
拜拜，
辛苦了，
拜
拜拜。
嗯。